Hey everyone, welcome back to another award-winning episode. I'm joined today by the Milbs, and we'll be installing a Curt Class 3 receiver hitch along with the wiring harness on a 2017 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Edition. We are not endorsed by any company and provide this video as a testimonial to the product. That being said, we found some misleading information in other videos, and we'd like to share a couple simple but extremely useful techniques to make your install easier. For instance, we purchased a set of step drill bits at the advice of another tutorial, but found these only to be helpful if installing on a Platinum Edition, which this is not. And one thing I want to mention before we get started, if you install this yourself, you may be voiding your Powertrain warranty, so consult your purchase agreement before doing so. As always, like and subscribe if you'd appreciate more videos like this. Let's get started by using a 7mm socket to loosen the two bolts from the rear bumper's access panel. You certainly don't see this forward thinking on every SUV, so I applaud GM's intelligent design on this one. Now granted, we are two skinny dudes, but we didn't even jack up the vehicle for this install, just kept it on a level surface. From underneath, there will be support beams running on either side of the muffler. These beams will contain a line of 3 small holes and a larger bore porthole nearby. We'll use the provided fish wire harness to thread the spacer and carriage bolt from the larger hole down into the smaller hole and temporarily cap them with the provided flange nut. It may look simple in this video, but it took a few minutes for each one as far as fishing goes, especially those furthest away from the large porthole. So one technique we found useful was to reverse the fish line. In other words, stick the empty coiled end through the small hole and fish it out the porthole. After doing so, you can thread the spacer and the carriage bolt and pull them all the way back through that small hole. But for the nearby 2 holes, it was easy enough just to pre-thread both the spacer and the carriage bolt before fishing it up the porthole and down the smaller one. Now, because we found it to be the most difficult step, I included footage of us performing the other side. Again, for the distant hole, push the empty coiled end up the small hole and pull it down through that large porthole.
You gotta leave it so I can kind of see it coming through.
Thread the spacer followed by the carriage bolt and pull it all the way through. It's no problem to preload the smaller holes. In fact, another helpful technique is to bend the wire at an angle for easier fishing. And a needle nose pliers can help grab the tip. This next part is a two-person job. We began by stacking the hitch receiver on a couple wood planks that were roughly lined up with the carriage bolts. After removing all the 6 flange nuts, we each raised our side in line with the carriage bolts and recapped them with the flange nuts.
I'm on. All of mine are through the holes.
Yep. Secure all 6 before worrying about completely tightening to specifications, which is the 70 foot-pounds of torque with your 11/16 torque wrench. Let's move to the wiring. You'll see it's keyed with the top slot.
That red's... Now this one should just pull out of there.
Slide off that cover cap to reveal the 4 terminals. And plug in the new connector. Since we are Vestigial voice, we'll test it with a multimeter before locking everything into place.
Alright, you're connected.
With the running lights on and someone stepping on the brake, place the black probe into the isolated silver terminal and the red probes into each of the other terminals. You should get a reading above 13 DC volts from each of the other 3 terminals, if wired properly. Using some zip ties and a straight cutter, we'll tidy up the wiring underneath. Let's review. Dealership wanted to charge $450, a local independent wanted to charge $350. The cost as of 2020 was $150 for both wiring and receiver. I give it a 5-star. For the install, instructions stated 20 minutes for pros, 40 minutes for novice. It took us about 90 minutes with filming. If we did it again, we could easily knock it out in 30 minutes. I give it 5 stars. Lastly, quality. Build quality was absolutely excellent. 5 stars again. I'd recommend this and similar products to my family and friends. And thanks for watching.
You want to zoom in there to the...
Made in China. I hear someone's stomach.
It's Brandon's.